How's it going, everybody? This is your Astrology Horoscope for Monday, October 14th, 2024. I'm astrologer Alex Skyles, and welcome to the Moonbase. Hope you guys are doing great. It's good to be here with all of you. Of course, this week we have this final Aries full moon eclipse that we're going to have on Wednesday. This will be the last eclipse that we're going to have with the North and South node in the cardinal signs of Aries and Libra. So, Pluto just went direct. Jupiter just went retrograde. And now yesterday, Mercury's ingressing into Scorpio with Venus in Scorpio. So we have two personal planets in Scorpio, Pluto-ruled signs, with Pluto direct now. Right before this full moon. And this moon in Pisces today, we're feeling there's a softness to it. Of course, we have Mars in Cancer, Venus, Mercury in Scorpio. So this is a nice energy to have with three very personal planets in water signs, which we haven't really felt that in a while. Things have been so heady and so intense and fiery. And it's like now, today is one of these days before this final eclipse in Aries that we're going to have, where it's like, the whole vibe is starting to shift. And this is the final day of really kind of holding on to whatever we've been holding on to, because Mercury being in a fixed sign, Venus in Scorpio too, it's like there is this final, I don't want to let go kind of energy, okay? And this moon in Saturn is just wanting to check out, okay? The moon is going to conjunct with Saturn today. So there are a lot of heavy feelings, a lot of heavy emotions. And we have to work through them. And I think Mercury and Venus being in water signs now, and Mars in Cancer too, there is some emotional support. I think we can find some emotional support if we're willing to actually have the conversation, because this moon in Saturn is very heavy. And of course, leading up to this full moon, there's a lot of heavy emotions, because we know there are things that are coming to an end. We know there are situations in our lives and in the collective that are coming to a head. We know damn well that there's a lot of information coming out now. A lot of truth. And what does Scorpio do? Scorpio finds the truth. What sign is after Scorpio? Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the truth, right? Sagittarius, Jupiter, the truth. But it's in Scorpio where we actually have to go underneath the surface and look at all that dark shit, look at our shadow, to see the truth, to find the truth. So it's Scorpio who actually is doing the work to actually get to the truth, right? It's Sag who's has to get up on its high horse, no pun intended, and tell the whole fucking world, right? But it's Scorpio who is doing the actual work, right? At least in the story of the Zodiac. So it is. A lot of intense things coming up, a lot of intense conversations. And I think mentally, too, the frequency and the vibration is shifting into a much more intense, serious place, especially with these eclipses. This is nothing to fuck around with. So, at least today, too, the Sun and Jupiter are still making good harmony. So, the Sun will come to 22 degrees, but there is the Sun coming off of this trine to Jupiter, where it's okay, I feel more comfortable actually looking at the other side, and I feel like we've only gotten one half of the picture with Jupiter direct in Gemini since June, end of May, right? Right after Taurus season, Jupiter came into Gemini. So, I think with Jupiter going direct, and I think I said this last week in Gemini, it's now we can look at the other side. Look at the other perspective. And of course, with Libra and Gemini, and both air signs, there's a relationship there of the duality, right? It's Gemini is the duality, and Libra is the scale. It's trying to balance, right? It's trying to balance the dark and light. Gemini is the dark and light. So there can be a balancing here with the Sun coming off of this trine to Jupiter, coming into Monday. And it's definitely a heavier energy with the moon and Saturn, right? But if we're willing to have the conversations, if we're willing to go deep here in Scorpio, there can be a lot of expansion to really bring balance to both sides and balance that light and dark energy, that masculine, feminine Gemini energy, right? To me, Gemini is not the twins. Traditionally, it's not the twins, right? I don't know how that became that, but it's the duality, right? And with Mars in Cancer today, making this square to the sun, this is where I really feel is the real kicker of the day, okay? Because the sun will come to 22, but it's coming off that opposition with Chiron that we felt Sunday coming into today. It's like, take away the clock. It's like we're still in this, okay? We're still in this. So there's this T-square that's activating between Mars, the sun, and Chiron, and these cardinal signs. And of course, we're feeling pulled in many directions right now. Pluto and Capricorn going direct. These eclipses, it's like we're just on a stretcher being pulled in multiple directions. And it's keeping a level head. With Mars in Cancer, Mars rules the head, Aries rules the head. It's like we have to keep a cool head with this energy. And I know it's easy, and I've been seeing this a lot, and I'm not going to be shy about it at all. It's like I'm feeling this very deeply too. It's like, it's so easy to fall into that victim state right now. That woe is me. It's like, and just want to check out and just put all the attention on yourself and not look around you at what's really important. Okay, this is a very easy. There is a sort of trap that we can fall in with this T-square, and we have to keep striving for balance. Right, Jupiter's helping us do that right now. Of course, it's like if we let the emotions get the best of us, we're not gonna receive what Jupiter's trying to bring to us, especially on a level of just there's a message with Jupiter and Gemini. We haven't got the whole message yet, and now that Jupiter is retrograding, we're getting the other half of that. Okay? And when Jupiter goes direct, then we can actually start to put those understandings into motion. So I think today is this is a heavier day coming into this week. Mercury coming into Scorpio. It's like our psychic energy, our mental energy is definitely more laser focused. Like Mercury in Scorpio is like X-ray vision. Like I could see straight through you. I could see straight through the manipulation. I could see straight through the bullshit. And that's Mercury in Scorpio. Mercury in Scorpio has no time for BS. Okay, Libra can sit there and just talk shit all day. Mercury in Gemini just talk shit all day. Mercury in Scorpio ain't got time to just sit here and talk shit. It's like there's got to be a purpose or a reason or a real connection or a real bond or some real truth and honesty, and so we can actually develop some trust. And if that ain't there, then it's over. Like I gotta go where I feel safe and I feel secure with this Mars in Cancer, because there is this ultra sensitivity right now. I'm feeling through this weekend and definitely coming into today, it's like I have felt a sensitivity I haven't felt in a long time. And this is a lot of planets coming into water signs, personal planets being in water signs, and Mars slowing down, preparing to go retrograde in a water sign. Of course, it'll go to 6 degrees of Leo, but that ain't that much. Mars is going to be retrograding in Cancer more than it's going to be in Leo. So is it really a Mars retrograde in Leo, or is it a Mars retrograde in Cancer? Well, I guess that's up to perspective, but, or both too, right? But more so in Cancer. So these feelings and these emotions, like we have to keep these in check, and we have to remember where we're at right now. Because with retrograde cycles, if you really want to understand retrogrades, you gotta look at the shadow periods, what you were experiencing in these shadow periods before planets went retrograde, right? So it's these moments right now with Mars being in shadow, with so much intense events playing out, so much information coming at us at once, and so many things bubbling up to the surface all at once. We are in a tipping point moment with Pluto direct for the last time at 29 degrees of Capricorn. This is all faded, and Mars is on its way to oppose Pluto. So, and Mars is going to oppose Pluto 3 times. 3 times. Before it goes direct. For good. Which will be in the spring. Well, it'll be direct before spring, but it won't be until spring, till it's out of shadow. This is why Mars retrogrades are I think the most important, in my opinion, Venus and Mars, but Mars more so on a physical level. It's just like, I want to push forward, I want to get shit done, but there's a lull, there's a block, there's some other issue that's in the way that we have to fix. And it's like, these are lessons. Retrogrades, are always big lessons, especially on, Venus and Mars retrogrades, which are very personal. We don't feel these things with outer planet retrogrades as much. That's a much more, collective situation, or more, non-physical things that within our consciousness or within our reality, right? Like, this is like our everyday, like, the five senses, what we can touch, taste, feel, see, smell, So there's a lot of sensitivity. This is one of the most intense and sensitive moments. And it's such a tipping point moment that, we're feeling it. We're like, we know that we're moving through one of the most important evolutionary moments as a collective that we've seen in decades, and if not centuries, meaning hundreds of years. We'll say 248 years, really, because it was 248 years ago that created the world that we exist in now, that put that in motion, where Pluto was leaving Capricorn and moving into Aquarius, which really brought humanity together in another way, where we had to liberate ourselves from oppression to go form our own communities, right? Aquarius. But it was Pluto and Capricorn that woke people up and was like, we've had enough. This is it. It's over. We're going to go do our own thing now. So, we're feeling this rebellious energy. Scorpio is rebellious in its own way. If you know a person who has Scorpio Aquarius in their chart, that's as punk rock as it gets, right? So there is this very rebellious but sensitive energy, and there is a lot of empathy and a lot of compassion on the surface as well now. So with Mercury in Scorpio, it's like, to be able to share and express your sensitivities in a vulnerable way is very crucial right now to connect with other people, because there is loneliness in, this whole Chiron Aries squaring Mars and Cancer. It's like there's a lot of loneliness. There's, a lot of disconnect from what we need truly as human beings, the basic things, right? It's like, I think this Mars Chiron square is bringing up where we put things that aren't as valuable above the things that really matter. Of course, with Mercury and Scorpio too, and Venus, it's like this is a big conversation. It's like, okay, what really matters? Let's thin things out here. Okay, the South Node in Libra. It's like, well, I don't need this. I don't need all these things that make me feel good and make me feel beautiful, right? It's like, no, we want something real. We want something that can make us feel safe and secure to want to actually connect on a deep level. So this is definitely a heavier day to start this week, and this is a heavy, intense week to begin with the eclipse cycle. So, it's like not letting the emotions get the best of us, and being willing to have vulnerable conversations. And Jupiter is giving us a message with the sun, and there is an opportunity to bring balance to some of the more difficult things that we've been experiencing emotionally, because there are a lot of difficult emotional things that are popping up at the moment. So I think being able to look at these moments with Mars and shadow and Cancer and taking snapshots. I think to be able to take snapshots right now is very crucial, because once Mars gets into its retrograde and it comes back into Cancer, a lot of these things now that we've been experiencing are going to pop back up, and we don't have all the answers yet. With Jupiter retrograding in Gemini, we don't have all the answers yet. We don't have all the facts. We don't have the truth just yet. Mercury is going to be moving through Scorpio, trying to get to a much deeper place of a more truthful understanding, because Mercury's going to retrograde in Sagittarius. So when we're talking about truth, A lot of truth's going to be coming out, and a lot of people are going to be standing up, more willing to speak their truth. Okay, and we've seen that over the past, just since July, since the Mars-Uranus retrograde. It's like there are more and more people coming out who's willing to stand and speak their minds and speak their truths, which is a very good thing. And we got the reverse Page of Cups. So it's like, we don't want to just be the Mars and Cancer weak, just I'm going to sit on the sidelines, just curl up in my shell and just hide from the world, right? Or this Moon, Saturn, and Pisces today, right? And this is very much big water energy. So the insecurities that can come up, it's like we have to work through them. It's not easy with Mars and Cancer, but it's like channeling this energy through something creative, at least, to help get some of this angsty shit out. I think there's a lot of angsty energy right now, a lot of unsettled energy that's coming through with this Mars slowing down. And what I've always noticed with Mars slowing down is like, some people who are very Mars driven, it's like, why can't I just move, right? It's like quicksand. It can start to feel like quicksand. And we're not fully there yet, but it's starting to happen. And this Moon on Saturn today is amplifying that as well. So there is a heaviness. So working through these emotions, not falling into the reverse Page of Cups, Mars in shadow and Cancer, the impotent kind of weak energy of just, let me just check the fuck out. It's like, no, this is a moment where we have to really not be afraid. Mercury in Scorpio is like, I'm not afraid, even if I gotta die for this shit, right? Pluto at the last degree in Capricorn. It's like, I'm going to do the right thing even if I have to die for that shit. So that's where we're at, is standing up for what is right at this moment. And this is what the Sun in Libra squaring Mars too. And these last eclipses with the South Node in Libra and the North Node in Aries, it's like doing what's right, to bring justice, to bring balance, right? And that's a sacrifice. And this Moon on Saturn today is also bringing up, there's a sacrifice that needs to be made. Whether it's something in your personal life or something that you're holding on to, especially with Saturn and Pisces, addictions, false ideas, false ideals about yourself, the delusions and the illusions that you cast and create, or the illusions that are coming from the external that, you can fall for and pull you into places that you didn't want to be. Like, this is where we can start to dispel some of the manipulation with Mercury and Scorpio, right? And a lot of truth is going to start to bubble up to the surface even more than it has over the past 6 months. Just, even in the past 2 months, it's been so rapid, right? And this eclipse that we're going to have here on Wednesday is going to further that even more. So I hope you guys have a wonderful Monday. This is definitely an intense way to start the week. This week is fully all out. No stopping. So this is, definitely a moment as we go into this Mars retrograde, where this is a closing out. This week is a closing out of an old story. This old story is over, right? And it's really your story, your personal story, the story of your identity. This full moon, lunar eclipse in Aries. This is the ending of your old story, right? So we have to prepare for that, and I think we are prepared for that because we've gone through so much this year. We've gone through a lot. This is like, there's so much has happened in just a short amount of time. Once we get years like 2025, where we come into 2025 with the Mars retrograde, it's a different story. 2025 is going to take a lot longer to get going, right? And there's a lot of ways to alleviate that, especially from an astrological perspective. But all in all, it's like this year has been completely action-packed, and it's kind of an anomaly of a year, and it's rare when we get a year like 2024 coming in. It's just all planets go. Jupiter goes direct on New Year's, right? Mercury goes direct on New Year's Eve. It's like, holy shit, 2024 was a complete launch pad. Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, Mars-Uranus, and how that synced up, the extreme events and the unexpected things that have happened, it's led to this moment. So with Mercury and Scorpio, now getting to the bottom, going underneath the surface, Jupiter and Gemini retrograding, looking at the other side of the conversation that we haven't even witnessed yet. Prepare for this eclipse to be one of the most revealing and intense eclipses that we've seen in a while. And definitely through this nodal cycle, through the North Node and South Node in Aries and Libra. This is it. This is the culmination, right? The final eclipse. Pluto at the final moment. This is the tipping point. This is when all things will be revealed through what these transits have been that we've been going through, especially Pluto since 2008. So I'll stop it there, and I will see you all on Tuesday. Have a wonderful Monday, even though it's going to be wild. Peace out.